Welcome to The Explainer, everyone. It is absolutely fantastic to have all of you future radiography and imaging professionals here with me today. Now, looking at some of you, I've got to say, a few of you look a little sleepy, kind of like you're attending a funeral. But hey, wake up, because today we are exploring one of the most vibrant, frankly fascinating subjects out there, and that is the psychology of why we do what we do. We're going to unpack the core concepts of motivation and emotion, and trust me on this, understanding these concepts, it won't just help you get through your exams, it'll literally change how you interact with your future patients.
So here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with understanding motivation, then we'll contrast biological versus psychosocial motives. After that, we'll climb Maslow's famous hierarchy of needs. Then we shift gears into the physiology of emotion, and finally, we'll wrap the whole shebang up with emotional intelligence and management.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Section 1, Understanding Motivation, the Drive to Act.
I want to start by asking you a really direct question. Why did you wake up today and come to class? Seriously, think about it. Was it to pass your exams? Are you just trying to finally snag that radiography diploma? Maybe you just came to see your crush. Or, I don't know, maybe your parents just forced you and said you absolutely must go. Well, whatever your specific reason is, it actually connects back to a singular, incredibly powerful psychological concept.
And that concept is motivation. By definition, motivation is literally the force that moves behavior toward a goal. Psychologists tell us that this force originates from our internal needs, our drives, and our goals. All right, so whether it's hunger driving you to get up and grab a bite, thirst driving you to drink water, or a really burning desire for success driving you to study those complex imaging techniques, this invisible engine that's constantly pushing you forward, that is motivation.
Or, to put it in terms we can all definitely relate to, when your stomach starts singing gospel songs at midnight. That is motivation. It's your body creating a biological drive so strong that you will literally get out of a warm, cozy bed just to find a snack in the kitchen. That right there is the sheer, undeniable power of an internal need.
So let's test this out with a really quick class poll. Why do students study hard before exams? Is it A, fear of failure, B, desire for success, C, parent pressure, or D, all of the above? Take a second to just kind of mentally evaluate your own study habits. And no, unfortunately, because the Wi-Fi was down so I literally had nothing else to do, is not an option on this list.
Well, if you guessed D, you hit the nail right on the head. The correct answer is all of the above. Human motivation is, honestly, it's incredibly complex. It's rarely ever just one isolated thing. It's usually a massive mixture of many different internal drives and external pressures that are all pushing us toward a specific behavior.
Which brings us to Section 2, Biological versus Psychosocial Motives, Survival versus Society. To truly wrap our heads around these drives, we need to categorize them, and we essentially have two main buckets of motives. First up, we've got biological motives. These are purely survival-based. We're talking hunger, thirst, sex, sleep. These are the absolute fundamental needs required to keep our physical bodies alive and functioning properly. But then, on the flip side, we have psychosocial motives. Now these are society-based. They're learned through our life experiences. This includes the need for achievement, like celebrating those high grades, the need for power, or the need for affiliation, which, let's be real, is exactly why we take group selfies with our friends. Basically, one keeps the body alive, and the other makes life in a society actually meaningful.
Moving right along to Section 3, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, climbing the pyramid.
So, Abraham Maslow, a very famous psychologist, he proposed that human needs aren't just a random jumble. They're actually arranged in a very specific order, kind of like a giant pyramid. We start at the very base with Step 1, physiological needs. That's your food, water, sleep. Once those are locked in, we move up to Step 2, safety needs, where we seek security and protection. Then we climb up to Step 3, love and belonging, which focuses heavily on friendship and family. Next up is Step 4, esteem needs, where we're really looking for respect and confidence. And finally, sitting at the very peak, Step 5, is self-actualization, which is that ultimate desire to become your absolute best self.
But the absolutely crucial point here is this. Basic biological needs will completely hijack our focus until they are met. Think about it. You literally cannot discuss self-actualization with someone who hasn't eaten for 2 days. If you are starving, you don't care about personal growth or, getting respect from your peers. Your brain is 100% focused on finding a sandwich.
Let's do another quick scenario to lock this in. Think fast. A student studies incredibly hard to become the absolute best in class. Which of Maslow's needs is most involved here?
Do a quick mental scan of that pyramid we just climbed. If you guessed the esteem need, you absolutely nailed it. That student is actively looking for achievement, respect, and confidence. Though, let's be totally honest with ourselves, we all know some overly ambitious students who clearly want those distinction marks way more than they want their basic physiological need for sleep.
All right, let's pivot a bit. Section 4, the physiology of emotion. Mind meets body.
Now that we've shifted from the why we act to the how we feel, we really need to define exactly what an emotion is. An emotion is a feeling state that involves both physical and psychological changes. I mean, we all know the basic ones, right? Happiness, sadness, fear, anger, surprise. But it's that unique combination of the mind and the body that is the key here. Have you ever gotten a highly anticipated exam result back, and before you even opened the envelope, your heart was beating like a drum in a church? That right there is your psychology triggering a massive, uncontrollable physical response.
Let's look a little closer at those physical responses. When emotions hit you, your body reacts instantly. Your heartbeat speeds up, you start sweating, you might even experience some trembling, and your breathing gets really rapid. I am sure some of you have seen students who fear class presentations so much that even the whiteboard marker starts literally shaking in their hands. That is the sheer, visceral power of your physiological reaction to an emotion.
Time for a little clinical-style scenario. Imagine this. Before presenting in front of the class, Jane's heart starts beating very fast, and her palms are completely sweaty. Based on what we just literally talked about, this is an example of what?
The correct term here is physiological arousal, and as future healthcare professionals, understanding this medical terminology, and more importantly, recognizing these physical symptoms of emotion in yourselves and your highly stressed patients, that is going to be incredibly crucial for you.
Okay, home stretch. Section 5, Emotional Intelligence and Management.
Because here's the thing, just understanding emotions isn't enough. You actually have to know how to manage them. Negative emotions, stress, anxiety, they're all totally normal, everyday parts of being a student and eventually working in healthcare. But we've got to manage them properly through healthy coping mechanisms. We're talking things like exercise, engaging in positive thinking, actually taking time for relaxation, talking things out with friends, prioritizing good sleep, and solid time management. And let me just add a quick disclaimer. You definitely shouldn't try to solve your intense academic stress by just disappearing from class for 3 weeks. That is definitely not on the list of healthy coping mechanisms.
So, this brings us to emotional intelligence. An emotionally intelligent person, they stay calm under pressure, they understand others, and they communicate really well. For example, a mature student might say, I am really angry about this grade right now, but let me calm down first before I go speak to the lecturer. On the other hand, the emotionally immature student reacts totally chaotically. They get hangry, immediately post like 47 cryptic WhatsApp status updates about it, and then frantically delete them all 5 minutes later. I mean, we've all seen it, right? But as future professionals, we definitely want to strive to be the former, for sure, not the latter.
Okay, let's wrap this up with our key takeaways from today's explainer. Motivation is the core engine that drives our behavior. Those motives can be basic biological survival needs, or they can be complex psychosocial desires. Emotions heavily affect both our body and our mind at the exact same time. And finally, mastering emotional control will vastly improve both your mental health and your professional relationships. Remember, studying psychology isn't just about figuring out the minds of your future radiography patients, it's fundamentally about understanding yourself.
So, I want to leave you with one final provocative thought today. What motivates you most as a student? Seriously, as you continue to navigate your imaging studies and eventually your amazing careers, keep asking yourself this exact question. Figure out what drives your engine. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Stay absolutely curious and keep learning.